Well, hello, all of you talented stars and starlets. We are back for another edition of Reframe. Relax and what are we doing today, Ariel?
Learn your lines or
Relax
memorize.
and learn your lines. I put learn your lines,
Mhm.
so that makes sense to me too. But how are you today, Ariel, my amazing co-host?
I'm doing very well. How are you today, love?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I've been finding since that you were part of the a goals workshop that I've been hosting, and what I've been really liking about it is like finding or coming up with or learning new hypnosis tracks or like scripts, and then I've been listening to them again and again, and like I feel great. Like so,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel really good every time. Like
I love
when I
that.
wake up now, I just put on like a hypnosis script, and like I feel like it puts my day on the right path.
I love that so much. So it's kind of like it's becoming a part of your mindset each time you listen to it.
Yeah, well, and it makes me like kind of crave wanting to listen to it again. You
Yeah.
know?
And cool. Are you doing it while you're active or are you doing it
No,
while?
when I'm still laying in bed.
Yeah. Amazing.
So yeah, that's so I feel great.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear.
So glad to hear. Well, what I'm not glad to hear, well, I am and I'm not, but we're going to be talking today about line learning, memorization of lines. Let's just start off right from the beginning. How
Yeah.
do you feel about line learning? What are your thoughts around this?
Oh,
Let's focus on you, Ariel, and your either your process or lack of process. How does it go for you?
oh, totally. Okay, so it has been a wild ride with lines. I feel like most actors, I feel like, go on some kind of journey with their line learning. Sometimes it can be really easy, and sometimes I feel like the most simple thing, you just make it so complicated and it won't stick. So I yeah, I don't even know where to begin. I've had moments where, yeah, the lines just dropped right into my mind. I was able to relax. I was able to just let go and trust the process. And then just moments of complete freeze. Um, and so I went on a quest to figure out the best way to learn lines. And I know that there's a lot of courses out there and a lot of different theories of how to get your mind primed to retain that information. And so I had tried everything,
Such
honestly.
as what would you
Oh my
include
goodness.
in your everything?
Okay, so what is that? What's that? There's a course. I think it's called streamlining. Have you done
With
that? Yeah.
Erica Carroll?
Yes, yes. So I had done streamlining. I had done some kind of super learning that I had seen on Udemy. I had tried writing on cue cards. I had tried um, drawing because I remember I was in acting class, I think it was 5 years ago, and I feel like I lost the ability to learn lines. I just think that my stress was really, really high. And I remember spending 3 hours working on a 2-page scene and uh, talking to my acting coach about it, and he asked me how long I had been he asked me why I was forgetting the lines, why I wasn't prepared, and I told him that I had spent 3 hours trying to memorize, but my stress was so high that nothing was going in. And so, yeah, it's very discouraging when you love acting, but that retention or the line retention or that confidence around line retention is removed. And so, yeah, that was a dark point for me where I was just thinking, what is the point if I can't even remember the simplest thing? And so, yeah, hypnosis has definitely helped a lot. I just do things completely different now that I've learned to relax before So that's kind of my journey. How about you?
I mean, what I thought was really important that you said, kept on saying, is that when your stress was high, you were unable to retain any lines.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've learned. I used to be great at learning lines. Like I would just like, I still have, I think I told you this. I know still two soliloquies from Hamlet that I
Mhm.
learned when I was 12. I could still say the whole thing, like, oh, that this too sullied flesh would melt, thawed, resolve itself into a dew, or that, I could still say
Yeah.
that. And I learned it when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And so what was the difference then was that there was no stress around me
Mm,
learning these lines, right? I
mhm.
mean, I spent a lot of time on it. It's not that like I just like, I memorized it in a second, but there was no stakes. There's no stress for me to learn those lines, even though we did have to recite them in front of our class and stuff like that. But it was a different level of stress that I was putting on myself, but more was I was willing to put in the effort to focus
Mm,
and really be able to retain without fear of not retaining, because I really hadn't had that experience yet of not being able to retain after I put the effort in, focused, and learned these lines.
yeah.
And it's very interesting that when I had no stress and I was willing to really focus, I'm still retaining those lines over 30 years later.
Yeah.
So that, I think that's wild that I am really good at learning lines, but what I feel is different with me now is that, oh, if I'm learning lines for a show or something and it's so much money is on the line and we don't get as much time to go over it, or they change your scene
Mhm.
orders, or they give you new set of information or new sides that you need to learn right away, that's very different from me having a month or so to learn this soliloquy that I could really focus on and get it word perfect and then be able to deliver it. So I think the
Mhm.
difference is the pressure that I put on myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people's put on themselves as well, where they have to be perfect or they have to memorize, retain, and deliver pretty much on demand.
Yeah.
And I really feel like the expectation of actors is quite out of this world, when it's as if they think that we're just like, okay, oh, lines are in the head, let's go
Yeah.
act. And everybody still does the process of memorizing their lines. And so I just think it's so wild how how much people don't realize what stress we put on ourselves with learning our lines. And I've told you the story
Yeah.
before where I was working on set on this project and they changed my shoot days. And so I was doing a scene that I hadn't prepared yet on a day earlier, and this was at 7 a.m. They're telling me this, and I'm like, so, and I'm going to be I'm going right to set, and I hadn't even looked at it because I was not supposed to be doing that scene at all. And I tried to memorize it as best I could. That particular director wasn't that kind and giving, and
Mm,
like was yelling at me, and like I'm like near tears, and then like everybody was like, it's okay. It's like it was such a mortifying experience. And so with having that mortifying experience, I got through it. The scene's really good in the end, but like it wasn't enjoyable. And now I have the fear that
mhm.
that will happen again, that I won't know my lines. And like I have to always kind of remind myself, like, well, that wasn't like they didn't keep the same order. This was new words for you. Like you should, it's acceptable that you weren't prepared because you weren't supposed to be doing that scene that day. But
Mhm.
still, the mortifying experience of being on set and having everybody mad at you, feeling like everybody's mad at you because you weren't able to deliver on demand, I think that that also puts in the fear of wanting to learn lines and deliver them again. And so
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
kind of what keeps on coming up for me. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a lot better now, but I haven't had to deliver lines on demand in like a year. So like
Right.
it seems like when I do all my auditions, I'm like, well, I don't care. Like there's no stress here. Like I memorize these lines in a hot second, but I haven't had to put it to the test yet. So since I've been really immersing myself with using hypnosis and using it for line memorization and using it to get myself really relaxed, I haven't put that to the test yet, we'll say, in like a paid environment. So I hope that it's been helping me, because it seems like it has been, but I haven't had to work on a professional set yet, since I've really been working on that aspect of line memorization.
Well, yeah, it will be interesting when you get to set and you can put it to the test and see the difference from when you first were learning lines the way that you used to, and then the way that you're learning now. It'll be very interesting to see.
Definitely. Well, we can just do a little bit of a close-up on line learning and line memorization. There's a lot of different techniques, as you kind of mentioned, to be able to do this. I know people that they write out all their lines, and then they're able to really retain it. I know people that there are a few people that I know that they say it's their party trick, and that they can just memorize things right away. Another thing for both of us to recognize, and anybody else listening that resonates with, is that if you're on a show, it becomes a lot easier, because you know the journey of your character. You kind of know what's going on in the plot. And so it starts to become your story. So then the lines start to become your voice, and it's a lot easier for you to memorize. So that's something to look forward to. So when we're booked as series regulars, we'll know that showing up every day, it'll become a lot easier to be able to retain lines and be able to deliver them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've done streamlining as well with Erica Carroll. Some people use Memory Palace, so that's where you kind of use different pillars, and then you put like numbers on them, and then you kind of hang lines on this pillar, and it's a whole big thing, a Memory Palace type deal. Can be really interesting. One thing that I do use that can be fun, sometimes I forget to use it, but I wonder if you've used it before, is where you just take the first letter of each word, and I find that actually works very, very, very well. You learn it quite quickly. I don't know about retaining it for long term, but I definitely, like, if I need to do like a fast turnaround with like just get it in there, I find that works really well. What about you? Any other?
Yeah, I've done that where I'm learning the first letter at least. It totally depends as well on the text, right? If it's something that is very similar to the way that you talk, I find it so much easier. But then if it's something that is away from, very, very far from who I am, medical jargon, sometimes I find challenging. But it'll be interesting to see, after doing a hypno training and learning so much about the brain, to see how that applies. But yeah, medical training or some of that other fancy jargon I've found really, really challenging. And then that's when I've applied the first letter. Anything.
What other techniques have people used for, like, obviously repetition's really helpful. One thing I find really, really, really helpful, if it's a really important audition, I make sure that I run it out loud with another human being, because I do find that when you get that other energy coming back at you, like it just sends something through your body, and then like your mind forgets some things. So saying it with another human being that has like dynamic responses is really important. And I also find it locks it in. I find if you have a one night to sleep on lines, like it is very helpful for you to be able to retain. So doing some memorization work before you go to bed, and then when you wake up, obviously run them again. It's the best way to also retain them, is having a nice good night's sleep.
Yes, and putting them right into the subconscious as well.
I sometimes listen.
Yeah, we've done that before. And then another thing that was coming up when you were talking is when you were saying how when you're working with another person and you have that energy coming back at you, it can kind of throw you for a loop. So another thing that I've done that I know can help is memorize the lines while you're pushing against a wall. Have you ever done that? So that if you experience any kind of resistance while you're working or in your audition, or something that'll throw you for a loop, that you have it so deeply in your body, it's almost like right down into the core of the bowl of your pelvis, because when you're pushing against a wall, you're activating your whole body. And so it makes it less likely to forget. But I've also learned lines on the spin bike and
treadmill for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely, I try to do it while walking. I had another teacher teach us to, once you have your lines memorized, to really look at something in detail and really pick out like everything while you're saying the line. So it shows that you can still have supreme focus and concentration while you are putting your energy and intention into something else. So that's also really helpful. But one thing though is that sometimes we don't have all this time, or we just think that we think that it will be faster for us to just like, let me just memorize it. Like, I'm not going to go and do all the other things that work better. Like, I'm just going to like memorize it by rote. And I think that I have to retrain myself to actually do all those other things, because I will learn it better in at least the same amount of time, maybe a little bit longer, but I won't forget it. And I will have more trust in those lines. The scariest thing about being an actor, in my opinion, is losing your lines. Sometimes it creates magic, right? That moment where you're like, and realize that you have to be completely in your body in the moment when it's like the lines disappear and you want to save the shot. So something's got to come through, and usually you're really connected, and sometimes it creates a really beautiful moment that wouldn't have come. So definitely losing your line sometimes can be a gift, but the fear that something's not going to come through, I think is probably one of the scariest things as an actor.
Oh, absolutely. I can completely relate to that.
So let's clear the lens a little bit with that. So what are maybe some other misconceptions around line learning? We kind of talked a little bit about the fact that like people just expect actors to just know lines right away as if they are a computer system and that they can just regurgitate on demand. That's one misconception. Absolutely, that it needs to be debunked a little bit, because the disrespect, I would say, that actors get, because like, you want to give us this masterpiece, this piece of, writing that you've been working on that's supposed to be part of this greater production. You're not even going to give us the respect of time to be able to learn it, to do it justice. And so I find that very frustrating. So that's something that I want to debunk a little bit about line learning, is that we're not computers, and we would love to have a little bit more time sometimes.
A little bit more time would be helpful. But that's just the nature of the industry. And sometimes it's just, like you said, it's all about the time and the money. So, but I think having what you said really struck a chord with me, was just having compassion for yourself and knowing, and it sounded like you had a splitting off moment where you were upset because you couldn't remember the lines, but then you remembered that you had no preparation, and how were you to even know? So having that kind of compassion for yourself first, I think, and having that acknowledgement is going to get you really far if you are struggling.
Is there anything else about the world of line memorization that you wanted to debunk a little bit?
Well, I think that there is an old model of learning that we all came up against in school, and that is learning by rote and just hammering something into your head over and over and over until you know it. And yes, that is effective, but there are other ways to learn. And that's why I think that learning in hypnosis is so freaking cool, because I didn't know it existed. I just thought the way you learned was you crammed all night and you drank a bunch of coffee, and then you would be able to do your exam, or do your audition, or whatever it is that you were trying to learn. But when you approach learning from a place of relaxation in the body and the mind, you will find that you are able to retain information a lot easier with way less effort. And so they're doing more and more studies around theta learning, and that's the state that we go in when we're in hypnosis. And it's really an exciting field, because I think that it'll I know that it's already a movement, and people are putting devices on their head to activate theta, that brainwave oscillation, and learning, studying, all kinds of things. So, or playing binaural beats even, which activates the theta, or can activate. You were talking about that in your workshop, the different frequencies.
Absolutely. But so also, I would love to debunk a little bit the fact that dropping a line is the end of the world. I think that we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and even in class, like I'll just be like, oh my God, I haven't learned my lines well enough. Like, I don't want to get in trouble. Like, I don't want to seem like I'm not committed or whatnot. But I think we also have to really remember that we're just trying to tell a story. We're trying to get the words or the experience of a person to be able to share a life. And so people in real life forget their lines and they're like, oh, I don't remember what I was saying. Like, that actually does happen. And so I think we need to be a little bit forgiving of ourselves, because we are still human beings. We're human beings that are doing our best to live an authentic experience on camera. And that if we are to lose our lines, if we are able to say line, we are able to paraphrase to save the shot. Like, I think we need to really be less precious about being perfect, because I think it's the strive for perfection that is actually preventing us from being able to recall some of these lines, and B, it doesn't allow us to give an authentic performance, because perfection, authenticity isn't perfect. And so I do want to just debunk that for everyone, including myself, that we don't need to be perfect with our line learning, line memorization, and even line delivery, because sometimes it's in the imperfection that creates the magic. So I'm giving everybody a free pass. You can all forget your lines.
Thank you. No, it's true, because if you're spending all of that energy worrying, then you're not focused, you're not present, you're not serving the story. You're hyper focused on yourself. And just know that if you have that kind of compassion towards yourself, just remember that you are human, and we're not line learning robots. We can't put a USB in our heads and download information.
We can't.
I mean, yet. Some people definitely seem that way, but most people, it's a process and a journey.
Process and a journey. Okay, so we're gonna see if my computer is working with us today, working with the energy today, because I do want to share a number one on the call sheet that I think will be appropriate. So hopefully this works today.
Fingers crossed. No, it's okay. You're only human.
Exactly. All right. This is Robert Downey Jr., who is going to have a little speech.
Our DJ.
If this will play.
And I cared about doing it as professionally and as honestly as I could.
Okay.
So when you memorize lines, that's an interesting thing. You said that you were free to do it. Like, when you memorize lines, is there ever a part, like when you're acting, where you have to think, like, okay, what am I supposed to say next? And how much does that get in the way?
Look, I have a very broad band of tolerances. I don't care if the people I'm with happen to not know what they're doing, or don't know their lines, or stepping on my lines, or whatever, or want to change their lines and my lines. And it's always a different thing. It's like reading the room. It's like, if I was a fighter, you go into the octagon and they go, you ready? You ready? And you go, and then you just
do it.
You go in. But so I've had it where I would try to be off book before everyone else. I would get it down to an acronym. So if there was 1,000 words I had to remember, I would just remember the first letter of each, and I would put it on a piece of poster board, and then I would stand away from it, not as far as you and your archery setup over there, but far enough away to where I can see it, but kind of can't see it, back when my vision was a little more clear. And I would just run it and run it and run it. when I did the first Sherlock, we were rewriting it so much, and I would have pages and pages of stuff. I was like, give me an earwig. And it helped me with my accent. And then I started getting into like, you know what's so great? I can finish work, go home, hang out with my kids, or do whatever I want to do, go train. And in the morning, they can change it all they want. I don't have to trip if, unless it's some monologue that you want to really be committed to that's not going to shift. I just go like that.
So you'd put one of those little earpieces in there to feed you the lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I've kind of gone as far as you can go with that. And I'll probably go back to a new method or a new version of the old method.
How does that make you feel? Great, right?
Thanks, RDJ. If we could all do that and just have it in our contracts. Oh, and earwig, please. Yeah. How would that go?
Doesn't that make you feel better though? Because we know we're striving for perfection, and this guy has his lines being fed to him in his ear. I worked one day with Leslie Nielsen, rest in peace, and he literally had people with big Bristol boards standing in front of him with his lines on it. Like it happens all the time, and usually the day players or the people that have a smaller role, maybe a guest star, know their lines a lot better than the leads do, because the leads have to be so malleable. There's so many rewrites that they kind of can't really be so precious about what they're going to be saying, because chances are it's going to be changed. And so I find that, seeing Robert Downey Jr. here saying like, yeah, he does do some of the things that we do. So writing the first letter, like we talked about, it's a way that he's used to memorize his lines or deliver them. But then he kind of wants to have more time with his friends and family. So forget the earpiece. So let's get to the place where we get the earpiece.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to have like a genius thought moment right there.
I was like, oh, well, could happen.
Definitely could happen. So what do we want to throw on the cutting room floor then? What's misconceptions or things that we want to kind of get rid of, and we want to just put it aside for the rest of our lives?
The rest of our lives.
I'm going to throw down the striving for perfection in our line learning and line delivering, and not allowing the freedom of expression to come through, because we're so, as my teacher says, locked and loaded. Get those lines locked in and loaded. And it's like when you're tense in the jaw and you're locked in these lines, like, where's the freedom of actually having an authentic moment? So I'm throwing down locked and loaded and the strive for perfection.
All right. Well, I'm 100% with you on that one. Perfectionism needs to go. So bye-bye. And remembering that we are human and holding that sense of compassion. And I don't know where it comes from, but I can remember being in school and struggling definitely with not being perfect and having that pressure on me. I think I've already talked about that one teacher. So I want to put that energy on the cutting room floor. That old mentality gotta go.
I'm also going to put in the fear of forgetting a line is going to be like the worst thing on the planet. Like I've experienced, I think, the worst thing that could possibly happen with not knowing your lines. Like I think that might be the worst. Unless, I guess maybe the worst after that would be actually being fired. But like that would, like, that's really what the worst would be. And I'd still get paid, I think, for the work that you do. Like you're already hired for it. So I think even if you got fired, I think you'd still get paid for whatever contract that you had. Like that's the worst that's going to possibly happen to me, is that like I might have a director that's not as gracious, and that's the worst. Okay, if that's the worst, I don't need to fear it anymore, because the worst has already happened and I still stayed alive. So
you're a survivor.
I've survived the worst. So who cares? Put fear away. I'm not afraid. I don't want to be afraid of losing my lines anymore, because what's going to happen? People are going to be like, take it again. Like whatever.
Yep. And then if you're in theater, people just keep going. And when you're in a really, when you have a really good team around you, everybody's a team player, people will help you. you know.
Oh my God, yes.
If every single actor, every single working actor has forgotten their lines, and most people are kind enough to hold you through the process and carry the scene forward. So just knowing that you're not alone, and that you have already survived the worst, you will be okay. And that's why film sets and theater can be so magical, because it's a collaborative process.
I have to say that my scene partner was really gracious. She like grabbed my arm. She's like, "It's okay." And I was like, I nearly cried. It was so like, I needed it at that moment. So yes, I agree with that, you're not there alone, and any other actor has had that experience before. Most likely everybody on set has seen people have that type of experience before at least once in their life. So I'm not alone, and it's not the first time that it's happened.
Yeah, and just keep going forward.
Anything else before we get into today's script?
I think it sounds all good to me. I'm sure things will come up. So we're going to work on a process for you and for everybody listening today. But first, it's really important for anybody who's listening to the replay or who's tuning in, just to know that these relaxations, these meditations, these hypnosis sessions are very powerful and very relaxing. So if you're operating any heavy machinery, or if you're driving, please do not listen to this recording at all. You can save it for a later time when you can just take the time to relax and you won't be disturbed. It is really very, very important to stay responsible with these. And so, yes. So Chantele, before we go forward, I've got a few ideas for what we're going to work through. So would you say that the thing that troubles you the most in your process is, would you say it's just the perfection, or what is the...
I think it's laziness around the effort that I need to put in to being word perfect or completely off book.
Okay.
So I know that it would take me to, like, okay, I had one time I was doing a workshop with Tom Todoroff, and he suggested that once you are off book, you need to rehearse your scene 150 times before it's ready for presentation. So this was in a workshop. And so that's always kind of ringing in my mind with the amount of preparation that I need to do. And sometimes for like an audition, I just don't feel like it. And so I think maybe something changing the way I feel around the preparation process, making that more exciting or more fun. But it's hard to make it more exciting and fun when there's usually not that much time. Right. So I'm always like, oh, okay. Like, what's really funny is that my film and television auditions, I'll get one day and it'll be like 10 pages. But then I have like a commercial audition, I have like 7 days. And I'm like, and it's SOC, and like, it's no big deal. Like, it's a lot easier for me to get out and just get that done in like 20 minutes. But like me memorizing 10 pages, I get less than 24 hours. So that's another thing that's frustrating. It's like, oh my God, I know that like I basically have to spend the rest of these 24 hours learning this, rearranging my life, being inspired to do it, organizing, getting readers or whatnot. Like, it's just the whole process of it becomes tedious when it's just for an audition and I don't have a lot of time.
Yeah. Okay. So just having that sense of, it's almost like being connected to the reward around it.
Where's the reward?
Yeah, it sounds, well, the reward is being able to kind of reactivate that inspiration around.
I mean, it might be more rewarding if it wasn't COVID times and like I would go to like a studio to get like to work with somebody to get a really good take done, or like even the audition, like I would feel more maybe there would be more of a reward for doing well when I was going in person, because like you'd actually have to show up and you actually have to be prepared. But it just seems like it's a different time. So I'm just learning how to adapt my enjoyment out of it, or my urge to do it in these times.
I see. So I think that that's really important. I think that we've all had to figure out how to do these auditions in our own environment and edit and get readers, and we're missing
Just
that.
like, oh my God, like
that
so much is going to have to be done to get this in on time.
Yeah. So I think that I think a lot of people can certainly relate to that, those feelings of dread of all of the things that we have to do, and also just that human connection when you're actually reading with somebody and that spark. And then when you leave the audition, you know, having the sense of pride, like I got up, I put myself out there, I was scared, but I did it, or that was awesome, hopefully.
Exactly. So
That's,
there's we're not getting any instant feedback anymore. And I feel that's what, in general, the whole, last 2 years of doing so many self-tapes, that there's just not a lot of feedback, not a lot of human connection. And one of the reasons why I know both of us enjoy being an actor is having that connection. And so also it's just like I feel like I'm putting out a lot of energy. Like the first thing I get an audition, I'm like, okay, I need to find a reader. Like that's my first thought. Right. Oh, okay. When am I going to tape this? Okay. And then, like, you know what I mean? I start organizing it, but like it should be the first thing that like I read the lines and like get familiar with the character and like see what I want to bring about it. Like, nope, that's not the first thing that I do. I had to think about all the logistics things. And then the most important part becomes the least important part and what I give the least amount of time to. So I would love to be able to spend more time on the character and on the fun part without having to worry so much about all the logistics. And I would love to get a little bit more immediate feedback.
I see.
Not necessarily from like my agent saying, oh, that was amazing, but like maybe to book it so that I can work on set and have that feedback. You know what I mean? Like I want the connection. I want the connection.
Yeah, absolutely. So just having more time to work on the fun parts and really work on developing and getting to know the character, and then having that immediate feedback. I know we talked a little bit about anchors, or we did a whole episode on anchors, and we were talking about when you receive the email or the way that your agent contacts you, and we placed an anchor in there for having a little bit more enthusiasm and excitement rather than dread. How is that going?
I haven't had any film and television auditions really to
test.
Yeah, to test, because I'm fine with commercial ones now. I'm just like, I'll just do it. I'll get a call back. I'll probably book it. I'm fine with commercial stuff, but I haven't had a film and television audition to be able to test that yet.
Okay. It's coming. It's coming. Okay, well, you ready to go into process? All right. So everybody where you are, you're all invited to just get cozy, get comfortable. And right from where you are, just go ahead, and if you haven't already, close the eyes all the way down. And taking some nice deep breaths right into your belly. Just reactivating, connecting to your physical body into this moment. And continuing to breathe nice and easy. And if you like, you can extend that exhale. And doing a body scan, just searching for any areas of tension or any areas of holding, and see if you can just let go. In hypnosis, there's no need to hold, and you just go as deep as you like. And I'm just merely a guide, and you just continue to breathe nice and easy, and continuing to scan the body for any tension, any holding as you let go. Really good. So now we're going to use the eyes to help send a little bit more relaxation through all parts of our bodies. And I'm going to count down from 10 to 1, and I'm going to ask you to open and close your eyes. And when you open your eyes, you focus on a point right above you, creating a light straining sensation. And when I tell you to close your eyes, you just close the eyes all the way down and send a wave of relaxation all the way through your body. And just want that relaxation, and you can have it. So on 10, go ahead and open your eyes and look up at a point. And on your exhale, close your eyes all the way down. Relaxing nice and easy. 9, go ahead and open the eyes, creating that strain. And when you're ready, go ahead, close the eyes. Deep and relaxed. 8, go ahead, open the eyes. Hold and close the eyes all the way down. 7, open your eyes. Hold and breathe, closing the eyes, letting go of any tension. That's good. 6, open your eyes. Close your eyes, deeper relaxed. Nice and easy. Doing really well. 5, open the eyes, hold and breathe. And your eyes are getting heavy, and it's okay to relax. Just close the eyes all the way down. 4, open your eyes. Close the eyes as you exhale, sending a wave of relaxation all the way through your body. 3, open your eyes and close those eyes, just letting go. It's safe to relax today. And 2, open your eyes. You're all the way there, almost there. And close your eyes, deeper relaxed. You're doing so, so well. One more time, open your eyes. Hold and breathe. Nice. Close your eyes all the way down. And now sending a wave of relaxation all the way through your body, relaxing any tension, any holding. Just know that it's safe to relax today. And you might already begin to notice that your breath is slowing down. And maybe your mind wanders, and that's okay, because a part of you is always listening to all the words that I say, even as your body and your mind are completely relaxed. You might even notice the space in between my words, or the sensations in your body. You may feel tingly in your hands. And if so, go ahead and really feel into that tingly feeling and allow it to grow and get stronger as you relax even deeper. And now you sense that tingly feeling in your feet. And that tingly feeling only reassures you that you are here. You are safe. And you are nice and relaxed. So just go ahead and notice in your mind that there is a place right before you in your imagination where you can learn twice as much. It's a very special spot and it's created just for you. And it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a chair, it could be on a tree, it could be near the seaside, but this place is a place where you can learn, you can understand, and you can integrate twice as quickly, but only the things that support your highest and greatest good. So go ahead and just notice this place, really honoring this place. And when I count down from 3 to 1 and snap my fingers, I'm going to ask you to be in that spot. So 3, you're heading there now. 2, trusting what comes. And 1, go ahead, be in this spot of learning where you can integrate and you can understand. And you might notice that you're already beginning to feel that your mind is opening up. And it's already ready to learn. So just go ahead and take a few more breaths, feeling your mind opening up, ready to learn, ready to integrate, ready to understand from a deeper place. Really good. And just a reminder that anything that happens on your end or my end out in the outside world are just reminders that all is well. And just use it as a cue to go even deeper. So from this place of relaxation, we're going to invite the part of you that is struggling to find the motivation to really dive in and learn these lines, or the part of you that is resistant to the process. And it'll be almost as though we are observing another individual. And it's just so that we can get a little bit more information, a little bit more understanding, and possibly level up and upgrade our thinking and release anything that no longer serves us. So when I count down from 3 to 1, snap my fingers, that part of you that is resistant to learning, the part of you that lacks that motivation will appear so that you can have a conversation with it. All right, 3, going even deeper into rest. 2, you're doing really well and just trust the process. And 1, go ahead and see right before you this part. What do you notice about this part? Notice if anything comes along with this part of you. Any props, any structures, anything at all. Notice if there's a posture or if there's an age. Just really taking mental note. Really good. So in your mind, just go ahead and ask this part any questions in your mind related to why they might be giving so much resistance. Why things may be a challenge at this time. Or any other question that you would like to know. And always, when we work with parts, just sending some acknowledgement to this part for appearing and working with you. Just gaining any information and trusting any images and impressions that come. All of it is good. All of it is useful. Some people get memories. Some people get symbols. Some people might even be connected to a certain smell that comes along or fragrance that reminds them. Just go with it. Trust the process. So now in your mind, you are the boss and you are in charge. You call the shots. I'd like you to really think here. Do you want this part to come along? Is there any purpose you can see them fulfilling in your life in the future? If they have so much energy to resist, is there a new role or a way that you can see them leveling up with you? Or simply, sometimes it's just a case of being able to let go. Let this go. So in your mind, go ahead and decide and really let this part know how you would like to proceed. Remembering that you are the boss, you're the director here, you call the shots. Very, very good. And because we've all come here with the important intention to level up the way that we're learning our lines, the way we think about lines, or line memorization, or maybe the way that we think about our intelligence and the powers that we have. Just remembering why you wanted to work on this process and doing anything else that you need to do here in order to really level up, seal the deal. And if there's any words that need to be said to this part, go ahead and do so now. Anything at all. Just trust the process. So in your mind's eye, I'd love for you to go into a recent time where you were faced with that old habit, that old resistance, that thing that was holding you back, or that belief. Just really narrowing in on a recent time. Really going in, almost as though you're going into an edit, a micro edit, and really get into that moment where things get shaky. But because you have leveled up with that part of you, or you have released it, you see things from a new perspective now. You think thoughts from an empowered angle. So almost as though you were looking at subtitles in a movie in your life, I want you to really see the dialogue that's happening in your mind around learning, around activating that part of you that is connected to the creativity, the excitement, all of the things that we love about working with character development, that reactivate, almost as though you were plugging in a lamp, and just really illuminate that part that loves the process, that loves that creativity, that loves to be in that flow, and that part of you that can just relax and allow those lines to just fall right into place as needed. And even if a line is forgotten, or something happens unexpectedly, just coming back, staying on course and holding that compassion for yourself as you move forward and allow those lines to just fall into place like popcorn. Just so buoyant and free, while remaining nice and relaxed, trusting that the way that you learn now supports you no matter what comes your way. And really witnessing yourself finding pleasure and enjoying the process of learning, getting to know these beautiful characters. Knowing that you advocate for them when you breathe energy right into those lines, bring life into right off the page. It's really beautiful. And anytime that old need for perfection tries to come back, just redirect. Take the rein. You are the boss. You are powerful. And doing whatever you need to do to just recalibrate and connect to that part of you that is connected to creativity, with that willingness to do whatever it takes to really bring these beautiful characters to life. You're doing so well. So really infusing these learnings into all parts of your being. Just holding that compassion in your heart as you trust the process of a new way of learning now. You trust the process that you have reactivated that same sense of excitement and relaxation into all parts of your being. And soaking up all of these feelings, all of this information into every single cell, every single nerve, every single part of your being. You're doing so, so well. And the next time that you have to bring a beautiful character to life, you just know that you can relax and just allow yourself to entwine with the thoughts of this beautiful character and just really trust that process of learning. Trust yourself. Good. So in a moment, I'm going to bring you back. And with each and every single increasing number I say, you come back to the room, to this place, to this time, remembering everything, but only the things that support your highest and greatest good, and feeling better than you have felt, more excited, more enthusiastic, more proud of your mind and your capacity than you have ever felt. All right, so 1, starting to come back now. 2, moving your feet and your toes. 3, moving your hands and your fingers. 4, lots of energy coming back into your body. 5, remembering everything and feeling absolutely wonderful. 6, 7, 8, 9, getting ready to open your eyes. And 10, opening your eye, doing the stretch. That was wonderful.
What was interesting that came up, and it was the part was kind of like a defiant teenager, we'll say. Like, feels like it's just a waste of time, and that's why the motivation doesn't kick in right away, because it's just like, so much work to do. And so kind of gave her a little bit of a new role, the cheerleader.
Amazing.
And then she got to like perfectly and easily find exactly who I need to work and connect with, so that I can execute this audition with fun and ease. So she's going to be on the lookout for finding me the perfect partner easily, the perfect time for me be able to do the audition. And also, it will also allow me a lot of time to play with this character and play with these roles. And so she also is going to help me have fun learning lines again. So she's my new and kind of assistant now.
Yes. Amazing. Because she was spending so much energy just being defiant and saying, what's the point? Yeah, as teenagers do, right? Very resistant. And then now she's on the lookout for the perfect partner, the perfect everything for you in order to do your job and enjoy it along the way. That's so cool.
So we'll see how she does.
Yes, please update us.
See if we're going to have to fire her. No, just kidding.
But
just kidding.
I mean,
I'm
she's
kidding.
a teenager. She can, I guess, work at McDonald's or
no.
No. Wonderful. Anything else come up for you that you wanted to talk about?
Not really. I mean, for the most part, what was going repeated inside my mind was I learn lines easily. And when I know my lines, it makes the process more fun.
Yeah.
So just allow myself to learn my lines more easily, and then we can get to the fun part more easily.
Yes. Right.
Because like the actual audition part of it, I like I don't mind doing that over and over again or whatnot, getting a good take. Like I don't mind that. I could do that forever. But what I find for myself that impedes that is all the other things that are surrounding the audition. So as we've talked about, getting everything lined up to execute, then sometimes technologies can be a pain. When I start to get stressed because like the deadline's coming and I haven't gotten all the shots yet, sometimes then my camera battery overheats and then I have to like let the battery not overheat anymore and then charge it a little bit. And then, you know what I mean? So like stuff starts to come up, then panic kind of comes up, and then it takes out of the fun that I'm enjoying doing the audition part because all the other outside factors start to overwhelm. And then I just get to the point where like, I just want to get it done as opposed to get it fun. So
get it fun.
Yes.
Good.
So if I'm able to learn lines quickly and easily, that just takes away from one of the potential pitfalls of time and all the other constraints. So
right. And it's a process of learning too, because to be honest, it sounds like what you go through every single time you do an audition or in the past has been a bit of a stressor, an ongoing stressor. And so really being gentle with yourself as you
and I'm not a stressed person.
No.
So it's annoying that it's a different version of myself that I'm like not really into. So let's get rid of that.
Yeah, just being gentle with yourself and just going, no, we're going for fun, and then knowing that you have those lines in your mind, you've got that good retention going. It's just one thing that you have to worry about less, and you have your cheerleader there, and just listening to that voice instead of the old voice.
Cheerleaders also helping me memorize the lines too, if I didn't mention that before. So
oh yes,
that is good. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Well, we're coming to the end of our session here today with our magic hour. Did you find any new cards that you wanted to share today? No.
No.
All right. Well, let's
all
see
you, girl.
what the traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck has to say here. Let's see if there's any help with line memorization, line learning. Okay. So we got the Fool. So the Fool is the first step in the Major Arcana. So the Major Arcana talks about the journey of the Fool, the journey of the ego. You can see he's embarking on an adventure, a journey, no cares in the world. He has his bindle and he's ready to take a step off onto this new adventure. And so what I feel like this is telling me is that, or all of us, is that we have all the tools that we need. So we have everything we need in our little bag. We have our companion following us with the dog and the little bird. And we need to kind of have a leap of faith. And I think with learning lines, you do have to have a leap of faith. You have to at one point decide that you know those lines and you don't need to think about them anymore. And you have to just take a step off and know that those lines or the preparation that you have done learning them will be there to support you when you take that step. So this card always reminds me of being free, to doing things with abandon, to not be focused on outcome. It's actually like carefree, youthful, naive, almost kind of energy. So maybe even taking us back to the times when I was 12 years old, where I was completely naive to it even be possible to not know your lines. Like that wasn't even something that was part of my existence. I didn't know that was even a thing because I hadn't experienced it yet. So maybe even also going back to the time when we were young, when we didn't know that there's going to be a possible negative outcome if you were to forget your lines. And so going back to that freedom that we had when we were youthful, when we were embarking on this journey for the first time, and just being carefree, a bit with abandon, naive to what could happen, and just like ready for that adventure, ready to have fun, ready to take a leap of faith, trust that the words will be there, that the work that you've done up until this point will be there to support you. It's really saying to trust. And because it's a major arcana card, it's part of life's major events and major changes. And so this is kind of saying to take us back to the beginning, because it's really important to really take that leap of faith and trust.
Amazing. It's amazing how I just can't even comprehend. It's so mind-blowing how these cards are always in complete correlation.
It's wild to me as well. And this is a really good reminder for me, for sure, that part of the fun and the freedom with actually performing as an actor or doing work with another person is that freedom that you have when you do know those lines, and you get to be in that pocket of the now and in sync, and really having those moment to moment experiences. It is the Fool. And so it's kind of really getting in touch with yourself, in touch with your body, like being so connected in the other person that you're able to, you forget your lines in a good way. You forget your lines because you are just you're just in it. You're in the scene. What's the phrase that actors always like to say? I'm forgetting right now.
You're in the flow?
In the moment.
In the moment. Yes.
Exactly. This guy is in the moment. And I think it's reminding all of us to be in the moment.
That's right. Well, thank you, Fool.
Absolutely. Thank you, Fool. So do you have anything going on right now that you would like to share with anybody that's listening?
Well, I just wanted to share that I'm a part of, that's my website, but I am a part of your class, and I am just with Sean Presti and loving it so much. And I know that pretty soon you're going to do another cohort, and I'm just so excited. I've learned so much just in these 3 short weeks from the both of you, and I'm really freaking excited for the next 3 weeks. And
really great things coming up, which is like, we get excited when we're like, okay, we figured out what's going to be so perfect for the next week. So we got some pretty cool stuff coming up. So thank you so much for participating. Thanks for you reminding people that, yes, I will be opening up some registration for the next 6 weeks where you can focus on your goals and aligning with them. But what about you, though? What do you have that's going on?
And for me, I'm still working on my app launch. It's a process, but I'm really excited. I'll have a 5-week course that people can join at any time. I'm just over the moon. I can't believe that it's actually happening. But in the meantime, just come on over to Intentional Actor. I am accepting some one-on-one clients, and I'm always open to answering any questions or connecting with anyone who's just curious. I also do holistic life coaching, so it doesn't have to be hypnosis only, but I am focused on helping performers, and that's what really excites me. So anybody who wants to connect, feel free to reach out to me there.
Absolutely. Thank you. And for me, probably easiest, you can find me at Star Talent Coaching on Instagram, or Chantele at startalentcoaching.com. And so you can find me at either of those 2 places if you want to learn more about the next 6 weeks of the program, or if you want to have any sort of hypnosis session, or I'm also a certified law of attraction life coach. So anything that you would need from me to help you kind of level up in your own life and kind of shift some things, any blocks or any resistance. And even if you want a tarot card reading, I still do those as well. Tarot and astrology are passions of mine as well. So if you're interested, hit me up. And if you could leave a comment as to what is your one takeaway from this particular week? Is there one thing that kind of stuck out in your mind that, you know what, like, I'm going to remember that piece forever, or that really resonated with me? Like, oh my God, I'm so happy to hear that somebody's experiencing something similar to me. So please like this video if you're watching it in the replay, and leave a comment as to what your biggest takeaway is from this session.
Mm-hmm. We want
Anything else from you, Ariel?
Nope, that was beautiful. Thank you.
Well, that's a wrap.
Yeah.
We'll see everybody so soon. Next
Thanks,
week.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.